What is cost estimating? Defined as an activity in a particular job to execute a task based on a stipulated sum by making possible offers. What is the stipulated sum means? Amount of fixed price for the execution of the construction project. What is the purpose of cost estimating? Firstly, a cost estimate can ascertain the actual cost forecast of a project. This is because the cost estimate to be prepared is part of the cost planning process. The development process begins with the preparation of the project brief by the client. Then, the client will ask QS questions regarding the cost estimate of the project.
For example, during a residential project, QS will take a critical look at the materials and design choices in the estimate to help the client to reduce the cost.
Moreover, the cost estimate allows all parties to concentrate on time and under budget. This is due to the different methods that can be used to estimate the cost of the project. For example, QS can advise the client based on detailed methods such as build-up rates to allocate the budget required to accomplish a planned project. For the architect, the cost estimate can act as a parameter to prepare the design so that it does not exceed the cost limit mentioned by the client. Last but not least, the purpose of cost estimate is as a design guide whether the project is appropriate to the allocation made earlier. This is to make sure the estimate is equal to the allocated sum for the particular project. For instance, if the estimate is higher than the allocated sum, the design could be altered to reduce the cost. So in contrast, if the estimate is lower than the allocated sum, the design could be modified.
Oh no, I cannot understand anything despite reading them numerous times already. I should ask my friend. Hi, I need your help. Hi, what is it? Just tell me. Actually, I'm having a hard time to understand what is direct cost, indirect cost, overhead, and profit. Can you explain to me what are they? Yes, sure. First of all, direct costs are expenses that a company can easily connect to a specific cost object. It is either a product, department, or project, which also includes software, equipment, and raw materials. Let's talk about labor as an example. If an employee hires a labor to work on a project, their labor on that project is a direct cost. Labor and direct materials is the majority of direct costs. For example, an appliance maker requires steel, electronic components, and other raw materials to create its product. Next is indirect costs. Indirect costs are the extended expenses incurred in creating a product, which include the cost for maintaining and running a company. They are not assigned to create any service, even they contribute to the company as a whole. Here are some examples of indirect costs. It includes utilities, cell phone, desktop, office supplies, and office rental. You may look at this conclusion for better understanding. Move on to overhead and profit. Overhead costs are the operating expenses for necessary equipment and facilities. Some examples of overhead expenses are general and administrative expenses, office rent and utilities, office supplies, salaries and benefit for office personnel, depreciation on office equipment, license, and advertising. Then, profit is defined as the difference between cost of goods and price for which they are sold. So, it is concluded that profit is what allows the general contractor to earn their living. Wow, now I can understand everything thanks to your explanation. Thank you so much. Alright, no problem. I need to go now. Bye. Bye. Stay safe.
Now, I'm going to talk about the method of cost estimating. There are three types of methods in cost estimating. The three main methods are whole building, component, and detail. Whole building is divided into 5 more sub-methods. Firstly is cubic content. The method is suitable for simple building with not more partition by using length multiplied with width and height in meter cube. But the disadvantage is that the details are not being encountered. Next is gross floor area. How can we get GFA? We can get it from elemental cost analysis. The CA of similar type of project within 3 years can show the latest data. If more than 3 years, then we need to adjust or analyze the price increment. The next method is unit. As an example, unit method is used for estimating hospital. The unit is bed. How much is the cost for one bed and how many beds required in hospital? This method is very simple. However, the cost estimating for building will not be accurate. As for enclosed story, this method is based on specification and drawing by using the area multiplied with weightage and cost per meter squared to get the cost estimating accurately. However, compared to other methods, this method is more difficult as it needs QS with lots more experience. Lastly, the sub-method for whole building is approximate quantity. Regarding to the use of PQ, the cost estimating will be more detailed and accurate based on the detailed drawing. The second method of cost estimating is component. The unit is in meters squared by elements such as work below lowest for finish, frame, and roof. This refers to cost plan, which mean distribution estimation on yearly stage. Lastly is detail. It is the most accurate and exact cost, as the QS estimate each item in the BQ. They write down the description for each item based on SMM2 to explain the detail of project works.
So, what kind of method is more suitable to estimate the cost of ironmongery for window? Is whole building? No. This is because this method is more turned to estimate the cost of whole building, not only for one item or one element. For example, GFA is used to calculate the almost type of building total cost, not for item or element. So, GFA cannot be used. Cubic content is only used to calculate the volume of air-conditioned space or space which is given the mechanical ventilation, so it also cannot. Apart from whole building, there are component method and detail method. Between these two methods, which one is more suitable to estimate the cost of ironmongery for window? Yes, the answer is detail method. Why the component method does not suitable? Because ironmongery is an item of window and component method only can calculate the element by meter square, so only the detail method can be used. Maybe some of them does not understand why approximate quantity and detail method both are used BQ, but I still choose the detail method as the most suitable method. The reason is because approximate quantity is prepared based on the similar work carried out in the past before the computer drawing are set up. To compare, detail estimate is prepared after the computer drawing are set up. So QS can write down the exact description of the work and obtain the accurate quantity of each item based on the drawing. Besides that, detail method can also help QS to get the total cost of each item by using build-out rate. As a result, detail method is the most suitable method for QS to do the cost estimating. This is the example of description by using the detail method from the internet and the book. And this is a sample of build-out rate for element window for item ironmongery.
How to prepare build-up rate? What is build-up rate? Breakdown of cost for material, labor and plant constant, which include percentage of wastage and profit or overhead for different elements. There are 5 main steps to prepare build-up rate. First, find out the price of material, labor, and plant. Second, calculate the material cost. Third, calculate the labor cost. Fourth, calculate the plant cost. Finally, calculate the total cost. Search the price from Shopee. Find out the price of labor from Putra Sentosa Enterprise Sendirian Berhad. Cost of material is based on the quantity required. The unit for barrel is in number. For example, the quantity of barrel that is needed for window is in 1 number. At wastage 5%, the percentage of wastage is depend on the sensitivity of material. Assumption: barrel is insensitive material as it is slow to respond to influence, so we assume the wastage is 5%. The price of barrel from Shopee is 11 ringgit, then times 5% and plus 11 ringgit, so we get the total material cost is 11 ringgit and 55 cents. The wage for carpenter is 100 ringgit per day, so 100 ringgit is needed to divide with 8 hours to get 12 ringgit and 50 cents. The time to fix is around 0.5 hour, then 12 ringgit and 50 cents times 0.5 hour is equal to 6 ringgit and 25 cents, so the total labor cost is 6 ringgit and 25 cents. The price for electric due in Bosch brand is 163 ringgit and 80 cents and is needed to divide with 8 hours to get 20 ringgit and 48 cents. The time to fix is 0.5 hour and times with 20 ringgit and 48 cents to get 10 ringgit and 24 cents. The total plant cost is 10 ringgit and 24 cents. Lastly, sum up total cost: material cost, labor cost, plant cost, profit or overhead. Why is profit or overhead included? If not, it will become welfare work. Sum up all the costs to get 28 ringgit and 4 cents. However, we need to include 15% profit or overhead, which is equal to 4 ringgit and 21 cents. To conclude, the total cost for 1 barrel board is required 32 ringgit and 25 cents.